Tonight, Sal Pao and Tim McManus will join me to talk about the league's top team, how their head coach turned it around, and what the Eagles need to do to grab that number one seed. Sean Green will join us to talk about your Birds Super Bowl odds, props, and Week 14 picks. And Bill Reinhard will join us to help you set your fantasy lineup this week. That's all right now on an action-packed edition of This Week in Pro Football.
It's time for This Week in Pro Football, a deep dive into the key issues and marquee matchups in the National Football League. For the next 60 minutes, we invite you to sit back or lean in with host Pat Callahan as we preview the week's Eagles matchup, big games, breaking stories, and all news NFL. It's This Week in Pro Football, right now on JAKIB Media Sports.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Week 14 edition of This Week in Pro Football. Pat Callahan joining you once again in a very pivotal week in the National Football League. 5 weeks to go, and there's a lot of jockeying going on. We got an action-packed show, certainly starting off as usual with the great Sal Paolantonio. We'll spend a lot of time with Sal talking about what I consider to be the best team in the National Football League right now, and maybe how that team can inch its way up to that number one spot. And whether a little bit of a look-ahead game this week, we'll talk with Sal about that. And Tim McManus will join us at the top of the next hour, the Eagles beat writer for ESPN. We'll talk to Tim about Sunday's game. And also, I want to pick both guys' brains, certainly Sal's, about how the head coach has turned it around after a scant month ago. The calls for the scalp of Nick Sirianni were getting quite vocal indeed. So we have a lot of that to talk about. Certainly, I want to talk about the playoff picture. I want to spend a few minutes with Sal. I can't help it. It's why people slow down when there's an accident on the turnpike, right? They can't help themselves. I don't. I want to speed up and get around it, but a lot of people can't help themselves. They want to see a severed leg or something like that. So they slow down. And that's all you can say about what happened over Week 13 with the Chicago Bears, the New York Jets, and the Las Vegas Raiders. There's one also, that's the ugly part of it. The bad I want to talk to Sal about is the suspension that was handed down and what the league might have to do relative to the slide. So we'll try and squeeze that in for just a couple minutes. But for now, before we get to Sal, don't forget, give me a follow on X at TWIPF Pat. You can follow the network at JAKIB Sports. And you can join the chat here on YouTube. Please do that. Xander and I will look at those comments throughout the show, and maybe we'll pop one of them up if we can. All right. But Xander, if you would, how about bringing up that playoff scenario schedule right now? This is the playoff picture right now after Week 13. We'll start looking at this now instead of the standings because we only want to focus on the teams that matter right now. In the AFC, on the left-hand side there, you can see Kansas City. You talk about a charm life. The Kansas City Chiefs keep winning games by the skin of their teeth, but the object is to win them. And Kansas City sits at 11-1 right now, holds that number one seed. Buffalo is charging. Buffalo is the Philadelphia Eagles of the AFC. They are coming on Helen right now. They bashed San Francisco last week in the snow. And the Bills are going to be a very, very tough out. They look like the clear threat to Kansas City in the AFC. How about Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh keeps winning games. 10-2, the Steelers. Who had that at the start of the season? They would today host a playoff game against the team that was supposed to win the AFC North, and that's the Baltimore Ravens, who have now lost 2 of their last 3, seemingly have a kicker problem. And as Sal and I have talked about forever, they've got a December Lamar problem too. Jackson, though, expect him to snap back. Ravens on a bye this week. And in the NFC, Detroit still sits with the number one seed. It's going to be hard to dislodge them. Sal and I will take a look at those schedules in just a minute or so. Philadelphia sits in the 2 seed right now, would play divisional rival Washington if the playoffs for this week. I have maintained all along I don't see a threat to the Eagles outside of Detroit. Others will disagree, but Minnesota, I'm not impressed with how they're winning games at all. Green Bay, they could be a formidable team in Lambeau, but I don't see it. I just don't see that their offense is big play enough to win on the road in January. course, unless of course it's Dallas, and not this year. So there you see the playoff picture in the hunt in the NFC. Certainly, you got the Bucs, who are chasing the sad sack Falcons, who gack up another loss Sunday against the LA Chargers. Might try and talk to Sal about that. Kirk Cousins. Cardinals are in the hunt too, along with the Rams in the NFC West. 49ers are barely hanging on. All right, Xander, thanks very much. Let's bring this gentleman up here, the host of the NFL Matchup Show and the latest member of the Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame selector himself, Sal Paolantonio. Sal, how you doing?
Pat, I'm doing great. Going into week 14, feeling strong. Got a lot going on in my life personally with 4 granddaughters and all that kind of stuff. But with Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's a whirlwind. But we're getting it all done, Pat. We're getting it all done. And I got my granddaughter Audrey starring in the Nutcracker Ballet coming up next week, the day before the Eagles play the Steelers. So I'm really excited about that weekend.
Good for you, pal. A jam-packed weekend. Jam-packed for you. Good job. All right, Sal, I want to get right into it. I'm going to hold off on the Eagles now for a few minutes till after our break because I have a ton of things I want to ask you about them. But and get to a little bad and ugly right here. Kirk Cousins, 4 picks, and one of them a pick 6 and a terrible loss. I've been talking about this. He is such a streak quarterback. Give me a quick take. NFC South. Is there anybody there remotely worth worrying about?
Well, the Bucs went on that 4-game losing streak. If they had not lost 4 in a row, the Falcons would be out of this race. But that really set the Bucs back. So the Bucs have a shot. I mean, their schedule is pretty tough down the stretch. I like Baker Mayfield and the production of that offense. This defense is a little sketchy. But the thing about Kirk Cousins is we've seen it before. End of the season, postseason, he just doesn't get the job done, and he throws those interceptions. And this is the reason why they went out and got Michael Penix Jr. As a hedge against the future.
Yeah, he's picking a bad time right now. He's such a streak quarterback. He's the ultimate streak quarterback, but he's just the Jameis Winston right now, the NFC. All right. I also want to ask you in terms of bad, the suspension that was brought down to the Texans' Azeez Al-Shaair in the game against Jacksonville. It's the only time you and I will ever talk AFC South. But I wanted to specifically ask you this, was I hear a lot of talk from NFL players, and I understand it, about what are they supposed to do here. The quarterback goes to slide, and if you in any way touch him once he starts that slide, I don't care if you're in midair, you're going to get some laundry, all right? And I think I can't help think too, Sal, about guys like Patrick Mahomes, who they head for the sideline, and then all of a sudden they make a 90-degree turn and head right up the sideline. And I think defenses are getting a little frustrated here about what these rules are for quarterbacks. Do you think the league is going to have to take a look at, quote, the slide, unquote?
I do not. I emphatically disagree with that point of view in every possible way. I think it was pretty clear that Trevor Lawrence was sliding. He wasn't performing any kind of okey doke. And that player on Houston should have been suspended, perhaps even worse than he was, more than he was. I think John Runyon got it right. There is a long list of fouls by that player.
Right.
And,
he's a recidivist. You're right.
And his egregious behavior in this particular case deserved a suspension, and I'm surprised they didn't suspend him for more than just 3 or 4 games. Right. I thought it warranted the ejection, the immediate ejection, and I just don't understand anybody trying to tell me that Trevor Lawrence may have been in a position to make the defender vulnerable in his actions in any way, shape, or form. He was going down, and the defender led with his elbow right to the face and the head and the jaw. That's exactly the no-no that you don't want to see. Right. And for Tom Brady even to come out and say what he said today is ridiculous. Tom Brady, for years and years and years, would complain to the referees about getting hit, and he would also slide feet first and kick the defenders.
Yeah, it's. I tell you, I don't think it's going to go away. But what you just said there, I think you're 100% right as far as that particular play. But it does. I think it annoys a lot of NFL defensive players when Mahomes does what he does relative to the size.
Yeah, well, guess what? Nobody is picking up a $70, $80, $100, $200 ticket to see this defensive player from Houston. They want to go see Trevor Lawrence. They want to go see Pat Mahomes. They want to go see Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. All right.
That's what drives ratings. That's what drives ticket prices. This is, and the NFL understands that. You have to protect the quarterback. You have to protect the players all the way. I'm for player safety and protecting the players in whatever way you can. And that was an egregious bad hit.
Right. Sal, I wanted to touch too on some ugly and get your opinion again, because you've stood on 1,000 NFL sidelines in your career. How do you possibly explain this religious adherence to timeouts, which led to the Chicago Bears getting on the plane back to Chicago with one timeout in their pocket in a 3-point loss to Detroit?
Yeah, that was really bad, Pat. I don't understand it. That was one of the worst game management situations. And it was a fireable offense, and that's what happened.
That's right.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I have always been in favor of a bench coach. And you're right. I have stood on almost 1,000 sidelines during the game. And many times I'm out there in the fourth quarter getting ready to do an interview. And so I am always watching what the head coach is doing.
Right.
And they're out there by themselves on an island. Joe Torre had Don Zimmer.
Right.
There's so much happening. It's such a high rate of speed. Why don't you have a bench coach who can point out something that you don't see? There's no harm in it, Pat. There's no harm in it.
Yeah.
There's only good can come of it.
Yeah.
You have the headset on. Maybe the bench coach is not right by your side. Maybe he's up in the booth giving you some help.
Yeah. I also thought it was noteworthy, Sal, the comment by Caleb Williams, in which they asked him straight out, did you think about calling the timeout? And his quote was along the lines of, well, maybe if when I'm in the league a little bit longer, I might do something like that. But for now, I'm just trying to make the best play I can for the Bears. Boy, it just speaks to, Sal, that it's hard to get anybody to take ownership. We've made almost like robots out of the quarterback position.
Oh, well, Pat, he's a rookie, and he's not going to countermand his head coach as a rookie quarterback. He's just not.
All right. Let me squeeze just one more in before we get to a break. And I can't help it. The New York Jets, 21-7.
Pat, what are you doing? We're doing Bears and Jets. Pat.
I know. But this is what I just –
we got the 10-2 Philadelphia Eagles, Pat. What are we doing?
We're going to take a break. We're going to do all Eagles after the break. I'm just asking you. You got a 42-year-old quarterback who's allegedly going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. What the hell is Aaron Rodgers doing in New York? Throws a pick six when you're up 21-7 against Seattle. I mean, how did Rodgers fall so fast so far?
Well, Leonard Williams, who committed the pick six, former Jet, former first-round pick of the Jets, said, and I quote, Aaron Rodgers doesn't like to get hit anymore. Now, that is an amazing public admission by an NFL player about another NFL player. Frankly, I have never heard a guy of Leonard Williams' caliber calling out a guy of Aaron Rodgers' caliber like that. And I'm interested to see what Aaron Rodgers' reaction when he's on Pat McAfee, I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah. And then when he answers questions from the New York media in Florham Park, which I believe is the next day, I want to know exactly what he thinks. Yeah. Is he afraid to take a hit at this point, or is he gun shy in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, interesting. We'll look for that too. All right, Sal, when we get back, I want to
when we get back, more Jets and Bears, Pat.
No. We're going to go right to the top. We're going to go right to the top of the food chain here. We're going to talk about what I consider to be the best team in the NFL. And I want you to get Sal's opinion on how the head coach has managed to turn this around so quickly from just a month ago. We're going to do all that next on This Week in Pro Football, presented by Kennedy Auto.
Welcome back. We've got another exciting play underway at KennedyAuto.com. That's right. At KennedyAuto.com, you can browse their entire inventory from home.
The customer is scrolling hundreds of Ford, Mazda, and Subaru vehicles right at his fingertips.
He made his selection and got a bottom line price set directly to his email. He could go all the way.
And the deal is good, all without leaving his couch. Incredible. KennedyAuto.com. Enjoy your ride.
Discover the essence of true community banking with First Bank, your trusted partner across Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Their network of branches brings you convenient access to dedicated personal bankers who understand your unique needs. At First Bank, you're not just a customer, you're a valued member of the community. Additionally, they are excited to announce the opening of 2 new branches in Media, Pennsylvania and Trenton, New Jersey, bringing their personalized banking services even closer to you. Connect with any member of the team today at their Westchester office, conveniently located at 849 Paoli Pike, or call them at 484-881-3800. First Bank is an equal opportunity lender and member FDIC.
Johnny Apple's restaurant and bar opened in 2001 and for over 20 years has been serving great food and good times to Bucks County residents, friends, and family. Ideally located at 184 Buck Road in Holland, Johnny Apple's offers a terrific array of steaks, seafood, and daily specials. They also host private parties and affairs of any size. For excellent food, great company, and a relaxed lunch or dinner, check out Johnny Apple's restaurant at 215-953-9900 or at johnnyapplesrestaurant.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Pro Football. Pat Callahan here with Sal Paolantonio. And I want to talk about the league's best team right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, after a convincing win on the road in Baltimore. All right, Sal, give me your thoughts on that game real quick. And also, let me just posit this to you. The Eagles almost seem, Sal, they start slow. It seems like they're almost taking the measure of their opponent in the first quarter. And then once they figured out exactly what their opponent's best punch is, then they just take the game over from there.
Yeah, I think you're right, Pat. I think that's 100% right. It seems like they're looking for what the opponent is revealing in the first and second quarter, tactically, schematically, and approach. And then they're responding to it, and they have basically a response to whatever the Rams put up or the Ravens put up or certainly the Bengals put up. And you see that pattern over and over. And it was different last week in many ways. Like last week, without Devontae Smith on the field, the Ravens defense decided to play 2 deep almost exclusively. And they gave A.J. Brown a cushion with a rookie corner, Nate Wiggins, on him. And Jalen Hurts recognized it, and Kellen Moore recognized it, and they hit a couple of slant routes that opened things up for Dallas Goedert. That's how they got that touchdown. They only had a completion. Their longest completion of the game was 17 yards. Their longest completion to A.J. Brown was 15 yards. So they did it a little bit differently in the lead up to the closer, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley in the fourth quarter, and I sent the numbers to you this morning, is on a record-setting pace, rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. He's the closer. It's enter the Sandman, just like Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees. Yep. You are absolutely correct. They take the measure, and then they respond accordingly, and they're doing it very smart.
Yep, this is, according to ESPN research, it's a third straight game in which Barkley had 50 rush yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter, tying Terrell Davis and Barry Sanders for the longest streak, going back to 1978 when it was first tracked. This guy is absolutely dominant. Now, Sal, you know me, I can always find the dry part of the glass, right? And so I always know where the glass is half empty. And I watched Christian McCaffrey just walk off the field for the nth time in 2024. And my question is, should the Eagles now, with 5 weeks to go, should they be taking a look at this? He's on pace to touch the ball 390 times this year versus the 339 times that McCaffrey touched it last year. Do you think the Eagles are looking at this?
They're looking at it, clearly. They are. They're being reminded of it every week by reporters such as myself. We saw a little Craig Shipley last week We see some design runs out of Jalen Hurts. Kenneth Gainwell is obviously a good 4-minute offense running back. But now you have this situation where your best player, the biggest star in the league, Saquon Barkley is the biggest star in the league right now. Josh Allen is, in my opinion, Josh Allen's number 2.
Right.
All eyes are on Saquon. Can he eclipse Eric Dickerson? Can he get the MVP as a running back? I don't see how you take him off the field, Pat. I really don't. I just don't. I think it's very, very hard to do. He's on a mission, and he looks strong. Knock on wood, he looks strong.
He certainly does.
He
certainly does.
He's not getting any slower.
Yep. I think he's having the most fun of any player in the NFL right now.
I would agree with that.
Yep. And all right, Sal, I want to ask you this too about the head coach. A month ago, you and I, after a near loss to Jacksonville of all teams, it looked like, man, the brickbats were being hurled at Nick Sirianni. A month later, he is one of the toasts of the NFL, the way the Eagles are just steamrolling people. How did he do it?
Well, and I don't know why the odds are 40-1 for him to be coach of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, after Dan Campbell, where are you going with your vote for coach of the year? Yeah. The guy's winning 72% of his road games. He's 4th all-time in winning percentage, all time. And the 3 guys ahead, all time. And the 3 guys ahead of him are in the Hall of Fame. So I don't know where you're going with him at 40-1 to win coach of the year. How did he do it? I think he listened to his offensive line to run the football. Tim McManus had a great piece on ESPN.com about that. Go back and look for it. Ask Tim about it when you have him on later. He listened to the players, specifically Jalen Hurts. They had a nice meeting of the minds after the loss to Tampa Bay during the bye. That was clear. That happened. Practice habits changed because Vic Fangio wanted them to change in terms of tackling and the length of practices. I think it was collaborative. In this world, if you're going to get ahead, it's not about laying down the law. You have to have collaboration with people that you work with, and I think Nick Sirianni has done that. My hat is off to him. Okay. The great Parcells line of all time is, you are what your record says you are.
Yeah, well, 46 and 22. Yeah, I'll say 46 and 22. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. Yep, you are right about that. He's done a remarkable job. I don't think there's any denying it, and you're right. He does deserve a ton of the credit. Now, you were kind enough to send me the notes from the press conference, too. He had one quote in there that I wanted to ask you about, where he said, I was always taught, quote, this is him quoting him now, players, formation, plays. And it struck me only because I think he was obviously ordering them for a reason. Is that how you think he deals with his team each week? Players come first, get them in position, and then watch them make the plays?
Yeah, I think so. And that's a mantra for every successful head coach.
Right.
I mean, whether you have Lawrence Taylor or Tom Brady, or you have Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, you look specifically, let's try to be as specific as possible in our answers, because that's a very, very good question, Pat. Mm-hmm. And you picked out the one detail that I thought was the most important in that press conference. Go back and watch the Ravens game like I did. So I like to watch the offense because we do a lot of that on the matchup show.
Right.
And I was there and I watched it happen live, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. The Ravens decided to put a rookie corner on A.J. Brown. No Devontae Smith on the field.
Right.
Dallas Goedert is still dealing with a hamstring injury. A.J. Brown is going to be their first and only read in the passing game.
Right.
A.J. Brown is isolated as the Z receiver to Jalen Hurts' right. Nate Wiggins, the rookie corner, is 12 yards off the ball. Jalen Hurts looks over there for about a millisecond. The ball snapped to him, and within 2 seconds, the ball is out. And you've got a 12-yard gain to A.J. Brown, and they did that about 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And That is adjustments on the fly by the quarterback, the wide receiver, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach, all reacting to in-game situation.
Right.
That's what is that? Players, formation, make a play.
Right. Yeah, that's about it. And it's all right. What you said a minute ago. I mean, the guy does deserve a ton of credit for the way he stood up. He knew he was losing control, and he stood up. He turned it around. He deserves credit.
That's it. It's the old adage, Pat. It's not how you act. It's how you react that separates the haves from the have-nots.
All right, Sal Pal, listen. Something else you sent me that I want to bring up on the screen now, Xander, if you'll do that, and that is the remaining schedules of the Eagles and the Lions. So, Sal, I'm going to break the rule again. I'm going to go. It's going to be this coming month in pro football. All right. So,
okay, Pat.
This is the Eagles and Lions remaining schedule, Sal. And I have to say, my look at it is that the Eagles, I think, have a much easier path here if you look at it. Panthers, I think the only marquee game left, I think, on the Eagles' schedule is the Steelers game. But I think Philly will win that game. And the Commanders will always play them tough. On the outside, on the right side, Sal, give me your thoughts on that Lions schedule, which includes Packers at 49ers, and then home, and then Bills and Vikings.
All right, tomorrow night, week 14, Packers at Lions. So Packers do well in Detroit. They have a couple of key injuries, however, in that game, and Jordan Love is still susceptible to the dreaded turnover.
Yeah,
it's a tough game to pick. Really tough game to pick. Then they play the Bills. They're going to lose to the Bills.
Yeah.
They're going to lose to the Bills. Bills are too good right now. Then they go at the Bears. They'll win that game. At 49ers is not going to be easy, Pat.
No. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. I agree. That's a proud team, and they might still be in the NFC West hunt.
Which is wide open. So, and then they have the Vikings at home, and I think they beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
So they have 1, 2, 3 really tough games.
Right.
I think on the Eagles side, the Eagles only really have 2 tough games. That's Steelers and at Commanders.
Right.
Although if the Cowboys win the next 3, right, where will the Cowboys be? They'll be
Cowboys, if they win the next 3, they'll be 8-7.
They'll be 8-7. And then week 17, Cowboys at Eagles becomes a very interesting game for the Cowboys.
Yeah. The Cowboys, they host Cincinnati Monday night, Sal, then at Carolina, then home to Tampa Bay, those next 3.
Yeah. So the middle 3 games for the Eagles are tough. They got to take care of business against the Panthers and the Giants. And the Packers, the Lions have, 3 really tough games. So I don't think it is a slam dunk either way, Pat. I really don't.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on what happens tomorrow night, in my view. If the Packers lose at the Lions tomorrow night, then it's going to be tough to catch the Lions.
I think you may be right, especially because that Bears, for instance, the Bills game is not an NFC game. That wouldn't help the Eagles as much as if the Lions lost in the conference. All right, Xander, thanks very much for that. All right, Sal Pal, I dragged you all around the NFL, but I finished strong with the Philadelphia Eagles. Any chance you think they're going to – Carolina is playing teams tough right now. And, the old adage about any given Sunday, Carolina could easily have won that game last week against Tampa. The Eagles can't expect a walkover here, can they?
Bryce Young, Vic Fangio. That's easy math for me, Pat. That's why you got a 10.5-point spread.
Yeah. And then with Pittsburgh coming in, I don't know. It's amazing. Maybe we'll try and find some time to talk about the Steelers next week, because that's the only guy, Sal, who I think should give Nick Sirianni a run for his money is Mike Tomlin, who has never won a Coach of the Year. But to be 10-2,
wow, I did not know that. Is that true?
Yes, with the quarterbacking that he's had this year, he's done a heck of a job with that Steeler team. And he was made for Hard Knocks, by the way. Yeah, I think he was. You think he was? Yeah, he was. All right, Sal Pal, thanks a lot for joining me. The matchup show this week. Anything in particular you're featuring? Oh, we are going to feature it all, Pat. Week 14. You got to get the bootlaces strapped real tight.
Buckle up your seatbelt. Here we go.
Yep.
It's the month of December. We're playing tackle football in America, and we're getting paid to do it. Come on now.
All right. All right, Sal Pal. Thanks a lot. Appreciate all the time. Thank you, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Always the best, Pat. Love this week in pro football. Give Tim McManus my best, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Sal Pal. Thanks very much. All right, that was a great segment as usual with Sal, and we'll do when we get back. Here comes another great segment. My close friend and arch enemy, Bill Reinhard. We're going to talk some fantasy football with Bloody Bill here as we get you ready for the first week of your playoff run. We'll do that next on This Week in Pro Football on JAKIB Sports.
Welcome to Park Bank, a return to better banking. With 7 locations across Philadelphia and South Jersey, we prioritize your financial well-being with a blend of modern amenities and traditional customer service. Our professional team is dedicated to providing tailored banking solutions, whether you are opening your first account, planning for retirement, or expanding your business. Our services include a wide range of personal and business banking options with competitive deposit rates and products. We are committed to making your banking experience seamless and efficient with the latest technology at your fingertips and the personalized support you deserve. Park Bank, your community. For more information, go to parkbank.com. That's Park, P-A-R-K-E, bank.com. Member FDIC. Concrete Cutting Systems Incorporated is the concrete cutting specialist in the Philadelphia area since 1995. And they've become the specialist in the Pittsburgh area as well. These guys are celebrating 28 years as the industry leader in the field of concrete cutting and robotic demolition. So if you have a project that requires any type of concrete cutting or drilling, concrete demolition, or interior excavating, call the specialist, Concrete Cutting Systems, located at 2514 Orthodox Street in the heart of Philly. Call them at 215-533-0652. With a fleet of over 70 service trucks, Concrete Cutting Systems Incorporated is always ready to service all of your concrete cutting, drilling, and concrete demolition and highway sealing needs. These guys are the only full union concrete cutting company based in Philadelphia. So don't delay. Call the boys today at 215-533-0652. And be sure to check them out on Facebook and Instagram at CCSINC_Phila or on the web at concretecuttingsystems.net.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Pro Football. Pat Callahan joining you here. We got Bill Reinhard coming up in just seconds. Sean Green will join me. We'll talk some props and picks, Eagles, Commanders, and around big games in the National Football League. And then at the top of the hour, my old buddy Tim McManus from ESPN, the Eagles beat reporter, will join us, and we will talk about, we'll continue to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni and how the Eagles have steamrolled their way into what I consider to be the best team in the National Football League. This guy will probably disagree with me on that side because he's a dyed-in-the-wool 0-4 Super Bowl Buffalo Bills fan, and that would be Bill Reinhard from FantasyGuru.com and the New York Daily News. Hello, Bill.
With friends like you, who needs enemies, Pat? Jeez.
Look, Bill,
I was at the Giants-Bills Super Bowl in '91.
That's tough.
My wife was pregnant, and I got to drive down anyway, and the longest ride home of my life.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one. He had plenty of leg on that kick, but it was wrong from the second it left his foot. And that's a shame.
He never made a kick that far on grass in his career, and they asked him to do it in the biggest stage of his life.
Yeah, and if they ran the ball to play before, if you remember, they ran it. And Thurman picked up a nice amount of yardage, but it was a gutsy call, and it just didn't – I don't know. It's an interesting thing, Bill.
Thurman had better stats than O.J. Anderson, and O.J. got the MVP. And
I know.
You can make an argument. If there's a few people that were on the losing side of Super Bowls that probably should have been MVPs.
Yeah. He was great in that game, Thurman, but
he was.
They lost. Now, if you don't get this guy to a Super Bowl, Bill, soon. I mean, this guy is absolutely dominating right now. And by the way, Bill, he should not have had 12 points on that. What is going on here? He throws the ball to Amari Cooper, and Cooper caught it. Cooper was struggling. Cooper laterals it back. That was not a hook and ladder. That was a pass. He was about to go down. He made a smart play. That should have been Jay Allen 5-run. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. So, and it's funny because I was playing my son in our family league, and I had Josh Allen, and I was down by like, 15 points, and he's fighting to get in the playoffs. And then this play happens, and he's at college, and we're texting back and forth, and we see the score, and it gives him credit for 2 touchdowns. And I was like, well, this isn't right, because if it is, I won the game, Right. So what they're saying is, and I'm sure Sal can explain it better than I can, but because it's a pass to a player and then a lateral back, it's a continuation of the pass. And the pass continued from Cooper to Josh Allen, who ran it into the end zone, for the only player in NFL history, or the second player to he's the only one to run a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and throw a touchdown in one game.
Yeah. He is simply unstoppable. Unstoppable, this guy.
And he's a good guy. He's a nice guy.
Buffalo goes out now to play the Rams on Sunday. My hope as a longtime Ram fan is simply that the Bills, they just can't. I don't know. Maybe they could finish 15-2. I don't know. This guy loves you could just see it. He just loves to play. Yeah. And he basically grabs the rest of the team by the throat and takes them with him. And
he does.
So Buffalo is just going to be formidable. And he's seemingly, and I don't wish any ill upon him, he's seemingly, Bill, indestructible. When's the last time this guy missed any type of time in a game?
Yeah, it was 3 seasons ago, and it was a hand injury. So it wasn't even, or a wrist injury. It wasn't even like his legs. So right. Yeah, I'm knocking wood right now. The guy's been very durable and is just plays, very dangerously too. And he does scare me when he takes off.
Yeah. All right, Bill Reinhard from Fantasy Guru and the New York Daily News. Bill, here we are, week 14, and the league decides to put 6 teams on a bye. The league knows that it makes a ton of money off of fantasy football. Could they have maybe thought this out a little bit and gotten these buys over with in time for week 14?
It's fantasy football is an $8 billion with a B industry. And, the NFL knows it. So I don't know why they're messing with week 14. And also, why are you giving an advantage to the Ravens, the Broncos, and the Texans and the Commanders? Why are you giving them a bye at this time of the season when everyone's trying to lick their wounds? It doesn't seem fair. So, but I do say, I know you said at the top of this that this is the beginning of the fantasy football playoffs. And I know that 50% of the leagues out there are starting now, but I just don't recommend it. It's not fair for you to go this far and all of a sudden you don't have, Lamar Jackson as your quarterback.
I know.
In crunch time. So
some
teams,
maybe I don't know.
Sorry, some leagues they don't even play this week. They'll take a gap and nobody plays this week, and we'll pick it up when everybody's playing in week 15.
Yeah, but then you push maybe your title game into week 17, and you don't know who the hell is playing by the time you get to that week. It's really a tough situation, but I don't think the league cares. No need to have 6 teams this week. It's all so random, Bill. No one could possibly figure out how the NFL schedules its bye weeks. I don't have any idea how they do it.
It seems very random, and I don't know why 4 teams one week and then 10 teams the next week. There's no rhyme or reason.
Now, I saw that online. I saw that you would put a sizable amount of money down on Jerry Jeudy over 250 receiving yards Monday night.
I had it right here.
Yeah, what a genius you are. That is unbelievable what happened Monday night. But just tell me, looking now, 6 teams on a bye, do you have any Jerry Jeudy's in your mind possibly for this weekend that somebody might throw into a lineup?
So here's the deal. I love Tyrone Tracy for the Giants. All right. And I know he fumbled a couple of times. And then that Dallas game, as punishment, he split carries for Singletary. And if you watch towards the end of the game and the Giants are trying to catch up, they threw a pass to the flat to Tracy. He catches the ball, makes 2 moves, and goes for 33 yards. It's too little, too late. It's the end of the game. And I'm just looking at the TV and I'm saying, look, Brian Daboll, this guy, one of your very few special players,
right?
And you need to use him. So he's the guy that I think this week against the Saints, they're at home. He could absolutely have a Jerry Jeudy kind of weekend.
All right. Yeah, against Tampa. All right. I can see that. And I tell you, it's against it's the Saints. You're right. Not against Tampa. It's against the Saints. You're right. Let me see if I got any. How about a guy like Isaac Guerrero, San Francisco? Now, I think the 49ers, Bill, could turn this around this week. I think they're going to be a furious team. Who do they get? The sad sack Bears. Could a guy like a Guerrero maybe be somebody you throw in there?
And he's a freak. He runs a 4.3. He's enormous, and he only started 1 game in his college career. So this will only be his second start in the last few years. He's subbed in really well for Jordan Mason when he was out and they were helping, kind of splitting carries there. I agree. I think he could have a really solid game. I don't know about Purdy's arm. I don't know about his shoulder. He did not look accurate. Look, playing in 20 degrees with snow isn't, really telling how well you perform. But I don't know if Purdy's all there. And if I'm them, I turn around, I hand off to Guerrero, and I throw a little down and outs to Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and call it a day and get out of there with a win and turn things around.
It's just so funny to look at any fantasy list now and see Jerry Jeudy's name in the top 10. This guy's been a dog since the day he was drafted, and then he just torches Denver. I don't know what the hell the Broncos are doing.
At Denver, Pat. I mean, I was happy for him because he was kind of like he had a little – vengeance or retribution there. And I'm not a Jerry Jeudy fan, but I mean, come on, you can't. The guy was unbelievable. And in the first quarter, Winston missed him on like a 60-yard bomb. He overthrew him. I mean, could you imagine if he had 300 yards that night?
I see a couple of names I wanted to run by you, Bill, on the receiver side now. Again, that maybe somebody could throw that have popped up that are moving up now on selection boards. One of whom CeeDee Lamb. Now, I mean, let's calm down a little bit. Dallas is now talking like they're going to run the table. I don't know. But I see Lamb now like on a couple lists making the top 15, and I see Drake London of Atlanta also popping up in there. Give me your thoughts on guys like that. Are you excited about them for Sunday?
Well, Lamb will only get better. He's still fighting through injuries, and Cooper Rush, the more that he plays, he'll only get better. The schedule isn't very scary for the Cowboys, so. Is Lamb going to be as good as he was with Dak Prescott? No, but is he going to turn it around and be a top 15 receiver? Yeah, he absolutely can. Drake London, I give up on the Falcons. I have no idea what the Falcons are doing. They just, Bijan's running up and down the field, and then they get inside the 10, they put Algier in, and then it's, 3 runs into the pile, they kick a field goal. London has disappeared in my mind. I can't even tell you what he's done in the last month. I have no idea what he's done in the last month. He's not on my radar. I don't want him. I'm not looking at him.
Yeah.
And I love Cousins, but I don't know what's going on there. And, Kyle Pitts with a donut last week. So I don't trust the Falcons passing game. That's what I'm saying.
And tell me, are you seriously, if you've got I've never seen stats like your guy, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who has somewhere around 22 receptions this year, Bill, and I think 8 of them are for touchdowns.
Right? What did Buddy Ryan always say about Chris Carter?
Yeah, about Chris Carter.
All that guy does is catch touchdowns.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a 6-team bye, are you going to shoehorn him into a starting lineup this week?
You have to. And Tennessee's playing Jacksonville, right? So, absolutely, I roll him out and I stay with him. And on the other side of the line, I really like Brian Thomas Jr. I think Mac Jones kind of have a little synergy with him. He's had 13 and 18 points back to back, so I like Thomas on the other side too. But yeah, get a key day in there. Plus, it's fun to say.
All right, one philosophical question I wanted to ask you. talking with Bill Reinhard here, is that in a week like this, you got these bye weeks. Do you look, when you're looking to fill guys in, or just rank when you're ranking, do you tend to rank higher the guys who may be an RB2 or a wide receiver 3 on a better team, as opposed to maybe propping up guys who are an RB1 or a W or a wide receiver 1 on a bad team?
So a couple years ago, I did an analysis on players prospering on winning teams. Right. And the only position that it really had an effect on was team defense. So that's lesson learned. If you're going to pick a team defense, if your league has one, go with the defense on a winning team because they tend to score higher. But, you got Joe Burrow and Chase. What do they have, 4 wins, 3 wins?
Oh, my God. They got 4 wins. I'm so sick of it, Bill. I'm so sick of it.
You got to stay with him. You got,
oh, my God.
Jerry Jeudy and Winston coming off that game. The Browns have, 3 or 4 wins. So I really don't look at the second RB from anybody over a number 1. I don't care about the record.
That's fair. But my usual, I'm sorry, Bill, but I have to holler and kick and scream and gouge like a 5-year-old.
Go ahead.
But apparently the Vikings maybe would have to play like a 60-game season for Justin Jefferson to actually score again. But when the Bengals get inside the 10, the other team decides, okay, the last guy we're going to cover here is Jamar Chase. Make sure no one goes anywhere near him, because there's no way Burrow's going to throw to Jamar Chase. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback. Who was a guy who played for Jacksonville a couple decades ago? I've never seen a quarterback who grabs more garbage touchdowns than Joe Burrow. He just, he probably has more touchdown passes in the last 5 minutes of games in losing cause than any quarterback in NFL history. But he's having a statistically fabulous season for a 4-18.
Yeah. And their defense, what are they? They've scored 99 points in the last 3 games and they've lost every one. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
First team ever to do it.
Yeah. That's right.
I got to think of who that quarterback for Jacksonville is. I know, I can picture him. I know you're Mark Brunell.
No. So it was after Brunell. I'll have to ask. I'll ask Sean Green. He knows all this arcane stuff.
At 3 in the morning, and I'll text you.
Yeah, that's right. You text me. That's right. You do that. All right. So what else you got going, Billy Reinhard? Tell me about this week's piece in the New York Daily News and what's going on over at Fantasy Guru.
So the Daily News, I have my picks for the week. I got a real sleeper in your boy Grant Calcaterra. If Goddard isn't a go, because Calcaterra is playing the absolute worst team in the league for covering tight ends, and that's the Panthers. So all you guys that lost Taysom Hill, there's a sleeper for you. Also another sleeper, Arizona Cardinals defense, 19 sacks the last 3 games. They play our boy Geno Smith, who's the 4th most sacked player. So go for that. So that's in the Daily News.
Well done.
Fantasy Guru, I got I put the fantasy, it was the night before the fantasy playoffs. So I put a few funny lines to towards the night before Christmas in about 5 pages. So that all comes out tomorrow morning.
The creativeness just never stops leaking out of Bill Reinhard, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm devastatingly handsome, Pat. So, I'm the triple threat.
Everybody check out Bill Reinhard, NFL Fantasy Bill on X. And everybody follow him, do that, and look for him in the New York Daily News. Mr. 0-4 himself. Bill Reinhard, thank you very much, pal. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you next week, all right?
Go Bills. Thanks, Pat.
All right. Bill Reinhard. I forgot to talk to Bill about the fact they're playing the Rams. Well, they're going to beat the Rams. This next guy will tell me about that game. I want to ask him about that and a couple other games. That's the great Sean Green from the Sports Gambling Podcast. We'll do that next on This Week in Pro Football.
What on earth are you doing? We have dinner reservations in 15 minutes.
I'm trying to figure out who to start in my fantasy football lineup. Every website I check has a different opinion. It's driving me crazy. How do you set your lineup so fast?
I have a secret weapon that will blow your mind.
Wow. What's the secret?
I've been using fantasyguru.com for all of my fantasy football decisions.
Fantasyguru.com? Isn't that with that crazy guy, Jeff Mans?
You mean the legendary fantasy guru, Jeff Mans? He's a genius. FantasyGuru.com has everything you need to dominate your league. Starts, sits, busts. It's like having a fantasy football expert panel in your corner.
Wow, FantasyGuru.com. But I feel like you're cheating on me.
How do you think I won our league last year?
FantasyGuru.com. It'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Join FantasyGuru.com today. Use the code NEW30 for 30% off instant savings.
Evolution Energy Partners has helped hundreds of businesses save millions of dollars on their energy spend. They offer electricity and gas procurement strategies, efficiency audits and engineering and financing solutions, as well as online utility bill management. To learn how your business can save, visit www.evolutionep.com or contact Chuck Herschella at 610-329-8288. Evolution Energy Partners, energy solutions to improve your bottom line.
At Whistler Pearlstein LLP, we assemble the most effective team to handle all of your legal needs. There are players and pretenders, but our hustle and heart set us apart. In practice now for over 75 years, we're proud to be one of the most prominent full-service law firms in the Philadelphia region. We offer 17 different areas of practice, including business, corporate, and tax education law, real estate, zoning, and land development, municipal law, and litigation. Our top-rated attorneys and staff are laser-focused on client success. We strive to provide outstanding legal counsel with the highest level of care and consideration. Let us show you the Whistler way. Learn more at WhistlerPearlstein.com or email Michael J. O'Donohue at mod@whistpearl.com, WhistlerPearlstein.com, or mod@whistpearl.com.
Callahan back here this week in Pro Football, Week 14, the National Football League here on JAKIB Sports. Forget you can join the chat here. Blake Bortles, Pat Ryan posted it here on the chat. That is exactly who I had in mind. Thank you very much, Pat, for that. It was Blake Bortles. You might remember this guy, right? I mean, the Jacksonville would be down 27-3. You got to have him on your fantasy team. Next thing you know, the final score is 27-24, and you won your game, because he threw 3 long touchdowns in the last 6 minutes. So nice job by Pat there. Nice job always by this guy, Sean Green, joining me right now from the Sports Gambling Podcast out on the West Coast. Sean, how you doing?
Doing great. I mean, the Eagles are 10-2. Had a nice week with my picks, and can't complain. The Cowboys still stink. So really, the Cowboys did win, but they still stink. And, just a fun NFL season. Knock on wood, it keeps going like this.
And the picks, I saw that. I saw you guys were recommending, too, Braylon Allen, one of your long shot first TD picks. And there he goes, rumbling into the end zone, plus 2,900 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Ray Kramer gave out Ray Davis, I think was the
it was Ray Davis.
Yeah.
Allen's on the Jets. You're right. It was Ray Davis. You're right.
But that was a nice hit. Yeah. Yeah. And we got a little sweet science there for the first touchdown. So those are always fun sprinkles. I got a bad beat on Thanksgiving. I had Drew Lock at like 25-30-1.
Yes.
Cowboys team, and they didn't even show the replay of why they overturned it. Please show me if it's clear and obvious. Show us. I don't get.
Sometimes doesn't that seem just so like one-offish? Like sometimes, no, we're going to overturn this. Other times, no, 1 quintillionth of an inch of the ball got across, therefore it's a touchdown. I don't know how they do it. Who knows, Sean?
Well, I think it's each ref crew interprets undeniable visual evidence differently, right? Where like some people is like, some refs it's like, oh yeah, it probably was out, and then others like, I don't have an exact clear shot, I can't do it. It's like a jury, reasonable doubt means different things to different juries, and it feels like the same thing for the NFL.
It is. You're right. I want to ask you, talking about last week, the Bears and Raiders. Is there any way to quantify how much on the money line for those two games was on the line? And the books had to be sweating them both out, because I'm sure the money line was way rated to the Chiefs and the Lions. And yet they stood to lose on those two games, and they both, of course, managed to gack them up. How much was at stake there?
Yeah, I mean, all of those, it's always in the millions, legally reported, and then obviously the states where there's still unrelated or unregulated bookies. I'm sure there was a ton, but for the NFL, usually a scenario like that where it happens where the favorites win but don't cover is usually what the books are rooting for, right? Because a lot of people will bet the favorites, especially in these primetime games. So the fact that Detroit didn't cover, the fact that the Chiefs didn't cover, that's usually pretty good. Right. But then you do have the people chasing the big payouts by betting the money line dogs. So, Bears money line didn't hit and Raiders money line didn't hit. So usually, especially in the bigger games, the ideal outcome for the sportsbook is the favorite wins but doesn't cover. And usually probably the under there as well. But I'm sure there was someone who was sweating some Raiders money line. And but what do you do against the Chiefs on the money line? Take the points.
Yeah. Losing teams, though, they do what they do. It's utter. Yeah, that's correct. They figure out an almost surefire way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Both those teams managed to do it. The Raiders in particular was just egregious because that guy's an automatic field goal. He's an automatic. Yeah. And sure enough, they managed to lose the game. All right, let's talk about, Sean, the Philadelphia Eagles. They were a decisive win for Philadelphia last week. What did that win do to the Eagles' Super Bowl odds?
Yeah, so last I checked, or before that game, I think they were sitting around 650, 750. It knocked it down to like plus 475. So it didn't really change their path to getting the 1 seed. But I think in the market, the fact that they went into Baltimore and beat a Ravens team that should be in the mix there, obviously in the playoffs, maybe to win the AFC North, although Pittsburgh looks really good. They were my pick preseason to win the AFC North. A little tout there. But I think the market responded by saying, oh, wow, if the Eagles can go in and beat the Ravens, and that was kind of the knock going into that game, is that the Eagles hadn't played anyone. Maybe they're a little fraudulent. People still hating on my boy, Nick Sirianni. And the fact that they were an underdog in that game, even though they had won 7 in a row, the market really wasn't truly respecting them. And now I think they're catching a way more respect, and it reflects in the Super Bowl odds. Although it's funny because Detroit and the Eagles are the Eagles are tied with the Chiefs and the Bills, but Detroit still is the odds-on favorite right now to win it all.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Sean, I think it's at home field is everything. I will posit this to you. Tell me if you agree. I think Philadelphia can go into Detroit on Championship Sunday and win. I do not think Detroit can go into Philadelphia on Championship Sunday and win. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. I think for Detroit to have a chance, they're going to need home field, and the defensive injuries are piling up here for the Lions. I know Anzalone and Rodriguez, maybe not household names at the linebacker positions, but this Eagles team of running the ball, playing defense, efficient passing game with some high level plays, a couple deep shots, and Hurts running the ball. Man, that is a game that travels. That defensive line traveled well into Baltimore.
Sure
Fangio is having this defense. I mean, it's kind of the best defense I've seen in a while from this team.
Yeah, I extremely impressive, Sean, and extremely impressive by the Eagles, I thought, last week. Now they face Carolina, which I tell you, they're playing teams hard. They really should have won that game against Tampa. They got ripped off on that, I thought, on that Adam Thielen touchdown, just like you were talking about a couple minutes ago. How was that not a touchdown by Adam Thielen? Someone just decided, no. I don't know how that works. But Carolina's playing teams hard. The Eagles host the Steelers next week. Is there any chance the Eagles might be glancing past Carolina? It's a 13-point number right now.
Yeah, I mean, there is always that chance, right? And to your point, like I definitely was not optimistic about the Panthers coming into the year, not optimistic about Bryce Young, but to his credit, since he got reinstated as the starter, he's looked better.
Yeah.
He's got some of his confidence back. They've gotten guys like Adam Thielen healthy, who's a fun, sneaky, playing fantasy because he gets a bunch of catches. Yeah. He's always in the mix for some touchdowns as well. I think the problem with this Panthers team is their ability to stop the run. I mean, Saquon Barkley, I was going to give out his over rushing yards, but it's at like 115 yards, which is insane. Right. Because the Panthers are the worst team at stopping the run, and obviously the Eagles are the best team at running the ball in the NFL. So if the Eagles only relied on passing and stuff like that to put up their points, but the fact that they can just simply hand it off to Barkley, get a lead, and probably bleed the clock, I think it's, even though you're getting double digits, and usually you want to take the double digits in the NFL, I do think the Eagles win and get the cover here.
I'm happy to be joined by Tim McManus after we hang out with you. Sean Tim from ESPN is going to join me. And I want to ask him about Saquon in this game. I mean, could this be a game where the Eagles, like strap him to the bench in the second half and say, "All right, you're not going to play as much"? But I mean, he could tear through Carolina, you would think. Are there any other props, Sean, that on the Eagles' offensive side that you like going into Sunday?
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard Fantasy Bill there before talking about Grant Calcaterra. I do think the Grant Calcaterra stuff is pretty interesting. His number isn't out yet. They're waiting for Goddard to be ruled out officially. I don't think there's any chance Goddard plays, but his prop won't be released until he's out. But I like the over in Calcaterra receiving yards. Panthers are bad to the tight end. He could be live for a touchdown. The couple games he filled in for Goddard, he did a good job. They got him involved in the passing game. So I like Calcaterra's matchup. He's going to have a fairly low receiving yards number. So I would take that as soon as it opens.
And then I'm going to ask Tim too, Devonta Smith. It looks like he was a full participant in practice. We'll have to see I'm sure they probably haven't assigned a number to him yet either, have they?
No, he was really close. It seemed like, oh no, he's not going to play. And then, yeah, he is. And then no. So the fact he was really close, but again, I think they'll ease him back in. I always like him, but AJ Brown is the guy in Philly. All He's good for 100 yards every game, it feels like, and they haven't lost a game when he's been out on the field. Knock on wood. So I think Calcaterra is kind of the fun angle, but you can never go wrong with Jalen Hurts getting a anytime rushing.
No good.
Like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record.
Oh God. That must be now. That's got to be minus 995 right now.
I'll pull it up, but even last week it was like you only got to lay like I'll pull up the exact number, but it's not as crazy as it should be considering the guy is just automatic. So
all right, give me some rapid fire here, Sean, because I only got a couple minutes left here, and that is 3 games that I picked this week that I think are intriguing. And I'd like to get your take on them. Detroit, a 3-point home favorite, which I think is pretty light, actually, against the Packers. Give me your thoughts on this game tomorrow night.
Yeah, this one, I'm going back and forth in my mind, and I think you can find some 3.5s out there. And I am going with the Packers here, catching the 3.5 because the Detroit Lions ruled out their left tackle. And I think that is kind of enough. In the games you've seen Jared Goff struggle, it's when you can get some pressure on him like the Texans did, forcing him into some throws he doesn't want to make. And I do think the linebacker injuries for the Lions, I think catch up with them. I think this is going to be a field goal game. I get the case for the Lions, but this is like a desperate Packers team that's going to be empty in the tank. And I think they hang around. I think this is a field goal game. So I'll take the points.
All right. My beloved Rams host, they couldn't possibly, after getting drummed by the other best team in the NFL, now 2 weeks later face the next best team in the NFL, which is Buffalo, in a late Sunday game. Bills a 4-point favorite traveling across country. Is there any chance the adrenaline slows down for a rampaging 10-2 Bills team?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, maybe.
Thank you, Sean.
No, Bills are going to roll, and they're actually pretty good against outside receivers, which is obviously the Rams' strength there. So, I think the Rams are in trouble there, unfortunately for you, Pat.
All right, Sean, appreciate you weighing in with that one. And,
I mean, maybe it's a sandwich game for the Bills because they have the Lions.
Yeah, it's going to be a sandwich game, all right. A giant, a big hoagie. Yes, it is. The last one. The last one, Sean, is I got to give the Chargers credit. No, maybe it's because of the coach they got in there now. No late season fold. Chargers are hanging in. They win a big game on the road last week against a very generous Kirk Cousins. Now they get another shot at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorite. Chiefs are not winning convincingly, but they're winning. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I am going to go with the Chiefs. Now, I've been riding the Chargers a bunch this season because they are a well-coached team, kind of exceeding expectations, good value in the betting market. I like Andy Reid with a couple extra days to prepare. And the Chiefs, as much as they play down to opponents, right, when the spread's big, and, like the Black Friday game, they were never going to cover that 13, but were you worried about them losing the game? The back of your head, you knew they were always going to win that game. I think they get up against big opponents, and I think they've heard enough about this Chiefs team, the struggles, everything going on. I think this is a get-up spot for them to kind of ice the division, so I do think they cover the 3.5.
All right. Buffalo's going to roll. That's all. That's about it. That's about. I
want to make a case for the Rams. It's just tough to get there.
Other than the fact you're not going to make it, I appreciate that very much. Thanks for the effort. All right, Sean Green, where does everybody find you this weekend here on VSiN and anywhere else? Where do they get the last-minute nuggets that they need in order to cash those anytime TDs?
VSiN, always a good hang late night Friday night, 11 o'clock East. And then Sports Gambling Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we're on YouTube, Spotify, all over the place. Just type in Sports Gambling Podcast. We got a free app as well, SGPN, in your app store. That's also free. It's all free over at Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And, put it in. You can't miss it.
Well done. The football philanthropist himself, Sean.
There you go.
Sean, thanks a lot, pal. Thanks for taking the time, all right?
Take it easy. Good to hear from you, Pat.
All right. I've held this guy up, and he is much, much, much too important for me to do that. So after a quick break here, I want to bring on this gentleman here from ESPN, my longtime colleague and friend, Tim McManus. We're going to finish up talking Eagles and Eagles-Panthers. We'll do that next to wrap up a Week 14 edition of This Week in Pro Football.
Somewhere on the blue planet lies a hidden gem, nestled in the heart of lush greenery. Where the game of golf takes on a new meaning. At Spring Mill Country Club, we offer an unparalleled golfing experience. Our meticulously maintained course is designed to challenge and delight golfers of all levels. But that's not all. Spring Mill is also the perfect venue for your most cherished celebrations. From intimate gatherings to grand weddings, our elegant banquet facilities provide the perfect backdrop for your special day. With exquisite cuisine, personalized service, and breathtaking surroundings, every event at Spring Mill becomes a cherished memory. Let us be a part of your journey, whether it's a round of golf, a celebration, or a once-in-a-lifetime wedding. Spring Mill Country Club, where every moment is extraordinary. Visit us today and create your unforgettable story.
Welcome back. We've got another exciting play underway at KennedyAuto.com.
That's right. At KennedyAuto.com, you can browse their entire inventory from home.
The customer is scrolling hundreds of Ford, Mazda, and Subaru vehicles right at his fingertips.
He made his selection and got a bottom line price set directly to his email. He could go all the way.
And the deal is good, all without leaving his couch. Incredible. KennedyAuto.com. Enjoy your ride.
Johnny Apple's Restaurant and Bar opened in 2001 and for over 20 years has been serving great food and good times to Bucks County residents, friends, and family. Ideally located at 184 Buck Road in Holland, Johnny Apple's offers a terrific array of steaks, seafood, and daily specials. They also host private parties and affairs of any size. For excellent food, great company, and a relaxed lunch or dinner, check out Johnny Apple's Restaurant at 215-953-9900 or at johnnyapplesrestaurant.com.
Okay, right. Welcome back here. Week 14 edition of This Week in Pro Football on JAKIB Sports. Don't forget, give me a follow at TWIPF Pat. You can follow this gentleman at Tim_McManus, and that is the NFL beat reporter for ESPN, covering the Philadelphia Eagles, and longtime radio host on 97.5 The Fanatic, Tim McManus. Tim, how are you, pal?
Pat, I'm doing well. How about yourself, man?
All right, pal. I'm sorry I held you up, pal. I know that you probably have a press conference scheduled in a few minutes, but if you could just bear with me here, I'll get you. It's just a number of things I wanted to pick your brain about relative to the Philadelphia Eagles, who, first off, if you'd agree with me right now, if you had to rank 1 to 32, are they the best team in the NFL right now?
I mean, they're right there. It's when you look at the Lions, I've had them at the top for basically the entire season, but it seems like they're getting hit with some injuries here now.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are on the ascent, like that number one defense. I can't believe I'm saying that, but the number one defense in the NFL, paired with Saquon Barkley, MVP candidate, looking pretty strong. So yeah, I'd have them right up there.
Tim, I looked, somebody posted, I don't want to take my own credit for it here. Somebody posted online that since 2020, Howie Roseman has made 10 first and second round picks, right? And say the last 5 drafts. 9 of them are starting for Philadelphia. Just give me your thoughts on this guy here and what he has done to basically rebuild a team on the fly that is now 10-2.
Yeah, so he needed to hit really big in order for this season to be where it's at. Like, just think of what's happening defensively right now. So Jalen Carter with that first round pick, he's turning into one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. I mean, he's just relentless, and he's double teamed constantly. He's freeing up a whole lot of space for everybody else. So he's doing his job at an extremely high level. And then the first and second round pick from this past year, 2 defensive backs, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, have helped transform that secondary. Mitchell is a guy that they're not even throwing at most of the time now, Pat. And DeJean, we saw the hit that he put on Derrick Henry, the way that he's been able to solidify the interior there as the slot corner. Ever since he got put into the slot instead of Avonte Maddox after the bye, they're essentially number one in every major statistical defensive category since week 6. So he, when you have those big price players, when you're paying the running back $12 million a year, Jalen Hurts on the big quarterback contract, AJ Brown, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, when you have that front loaded finances going to a select amount of players, you need to hit on your draft picks, and
That's correct. And he's been able to backfill beautifully. And of course, you think about those. I said 9 of the 10. The one he missed was Justin Jefferson. Imagine if he had pulled that pick off, Tim. He'd be in Canton already. I think at this point. But he has done a hell of a job. One other name I wanted to ask you about in terms of the Eagles defense, and that's Zach Baun. This guy he just seems to, Tim, always be around the ball. And not only that, I never see this guy miss a tackle. How important a signing do you think this was?
So I love this story because Vic Fangio has given us a little bit more and more about it. So the front office and Howie Roseman, that they envisioned him as a rotational outside linebacker / special teams guy. Wow. And Fangio started looking at the tape, and he only saw a select few snaps of him playing inside linebacker. And he's like, I think this guy can be an inside linebacker for us. And it turns out that not only can he be an inside linebacker, but he's playing one of the best inside linebackers in football. I mean, look at his stats right now, Pat. He's 4th in tackles in the NFL. He's number 1 in forced fumbles. Him and Fred Warner. I mean, who would have ever saw that coming for a guy that you paid $1.6 million to on a 1-year deal, and he's been transformational in the middle of that defense. So you got a lot of guys right now that are vying for their first Pro Bowls. Jalen Carter, we talked about. Zach Baun's another one.
Yeah, Baun is playing absolutely terrifically, but that's it. He's only on a 1-year. He's on a 1-year deal. Well, they're going to have to write a check to Zach Baun, I think, next year, Tim, if they want to try and hold on to him. That's interesting.
Yeah. Who would have thought he would have been top of the Howie Roseman priority list for
I know. You're right. Tim, at the press conference this week, you asked Coach Sirianni a question about where he had referenced in his post-game speech about we're working tomorrow. And I thought it was interesting that you picked up on that. and because of the mindset that he's apparently been able to get everybody to buy into. How do you think he has been able to do this when a scant month ago it looked like he was on his back after that near loss to Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that specifically, Pat, there's a certain mentality that has taken a hold of this team that you can see and that you can feel about how hungry they are. And so when Sirianni, it really stood out to me because you hear a lot in those victory speeches, that, all right, you got Monday off and everybody cheers, right? And instead, Sirianni's going, we're working tomorrow. And he got backed up by one of the players saying, we get to work tomorrow. So you're starting to feel this very specific energy about this team where, they're on a mission. And that doesn't happen every year. Sirianni deserves credit for helping to foster that. And I think part of the reason why he can do that, why he can push him more on Wednesdays, which he's doing, he's got him in pads more, tackle circuit drills, one-on-one offensive linemen versus defensive linemen. It's a young team. Like, they do have some of their established veterans, but largely speaking, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you're talking about a lot of young guys who need work, and he recognizes that. Vic Fangio recognizes that. And so they've applied this mentality, which is about being a physical football team and putting in extra effort, above and beyond what has been asked of Philadelphia Eagles teams in the past and what is asked largely around the league. And I think it's really taken hold. So Sirianni, after week 5, there was questions about whether he'd even make it through the year.
I know.
And now all of a sudden his teams, can be making a charge to the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable.
I know, Tim. It is, and I'm telling you, it's just been a scant month. That loss to Jacksonville. I mean, the win over Jacksonville was like November 3rd, so about a month ago, and yet he's been able to get these guys to buy in. It's been an amazing thing. Now, you talked about that, and then the focus that the Eagles team apparently has. Now, in comes a 3-9 Carolina team, which, quite frankly, Tim, I thought should have won that game last week against Tampa, and they should have won in regulation. They took a touchdown off of Adam Thielen, but you know how that mercurial the NFL is on those end zone plays. The Eagles also have Pittsburgh coming in the following week, a 10-2 Steelers team, in-state rival, that type of thing. Do you think there's any chance with the focus that the Eagles have been engendering, they might look past this team a little bit?
So it's a trap spot. I mean, I thought when I looked at the schedule when it first came out and I saw at the Rams, at Baltimore, I was like, okay, there's got to be at least one loss in there. Just the way that, the ebbs and flows and how difficult that is coming off the West Coast and the whole thing. So they aced that test. And then to your point, they have Pittsburgh right on the horizon. And here's this lowly Panthers team, but isn't really playing that lowly anymore. They just did go toe-to-toe with Tampa. Looks like Bryce Young is starting to play a little bit better. They're coalescing a little bit more. So it does have some trap tendencies to it. But based off what I've seen so far this year, I'm not sure that the Eagles are going to fall into it. And I think if you look at the way that Jalen Hurts in particular goes about his business and sets the tone, it's very workmanlike. They're not deviating from the path or the script, and they've been putting it in. They've been bringing the lunch pail, so it's got the makings of it. I just don't know if the Panthers, number one, are good enough to pull it off, or number two, that this is the way that the Eagles team's wired, where they'll fall into it.
I know, and you can't. You're right. I mean, you can't wish for a scenario whereby I was talking about this last week where, it's seemingly been so long since Jalen Hurts has had the ball with 1:15 to go on his own 20, and he needs to go 80 yards for a touchdown to win the game. It's just in this 8-game streak of the Eagles, they haven't had to do it. And I don't see them having to do it this weekend. But I want to ask you, Tim, a hypothetical, if I may here. I posited this earlier in my show tonight. I think it's a 2-team race between the Eagles and the Lions. I don't see the Packers or the Vikings, certainly not the Vikings. I'm not buying that for a minute with Minnesota, despite how gaudy their record is. I think it's a 2-team race, but tell me what your thoughts on this. I think the Eagles can go into Detroit and win in Detroit on Championship Sunday. I don't think Detroit could come here and win on Championship Sunday. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think Jared Goff and the passing attack in the Dome would look with that raucous crowd would look a lot different than if it came here. We did see the 5 interception performance out of Goff this season. Like, he is capable of putting up, a bad performance, especially against a defense of this caliber. So I think you're right. So I'm super intrigued about this Thursday night matchup between the Lions and the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers are playing a good brand of ball. I think I would put them up there. Like, I think it's 3 teams for me. I think it's the Lions, the Packers, and the Eagles that are all capable of walking out of the NFC with the crown. And if the Lions stumble here, now that they're a little bit banged up and they have a tough closing schedule, like the Eagles are sitting right on their heels. And that bye week means a lot anymore, right? I mean, there's only one team that gets the bye. So if you're able to capture that top seed, very significant. And I agree with you. Like, the Detroit, things will look a lot different. The forecast will look a lot different if Philadelphia has to go to Detroit rather than reverse.
Yeah, I think the Lions, it's either 3 or 4. That's the number of outside games they will have played all season long by the time they finish their regular season. So it's remarkably fortuitous what they've had. Hey, they're a hell of a team, but I think Philadelphia's the better team right now. Tim, just a couple quick names I just want to update from you on, if I might. Devonta Smith, listed as a full participant. You confident for him Sunday?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, he was sort of on the come last week. He was testing that outlet on the field, like pregame, and was going through some of those exercises. And so now that he's a full participant, it looks like he's on track to play against the Panthers.
And then I mentioned, Tim, to Sal, that Saquon is on pace for 390 touches this year. Now, I see you have a nice piece on ESPN.com about Barkley, and I recommend to everybody to check it out. Check out all Tim's stuff on ESPN.com. It's all outstanding. And I compare it, though, Tim, to Christian McCaffrey, who last year had 339 touches. And you just know how this running back position is. That McCaffrey was the entire 49er, well, not entire, but he was 60% of their offense last year. And this year, the tank, empty, bone dry. Are the Eagles at all thinking about the amount of usage Saquon has been getting?
So the way that Sirianni's been putting it is we only get 17 of these, and it's unique, the sport that way. And so we're going to do everything we can to win each one of them. But at some point, it's got to start creeping into your head because at last check, heading into that Ravens game, he was on pace for 50 more carries than he's ever had in a single season in his career. He's 27 in his 7th year. And even the way that he was talking about how he's feeling physically changed a little bit. I picked up on today. A couple of weeks ago, he's like, I feel great. Why would anybody be concerned about it? Somebody asked how he's feeling today, and he's like, I feel as good as you could feel for it being week 14. So it's just a little bit of a change in tone, which maybe means nothing. But I was like, I wonder if he's starting to feel it a little bit. And, you think about things that could stop this role that the Eagles are on. I mean, if the MVP stops playing like the MVP, that's one of them. The other one is the MVP on the defensive side of the ball, in my mind, not for the league, but for this team, is Jalen Carter. I was looking at his numbers, Pat. He's already exceeded the amount of snaps that he played last year by 56. And it's week 14.
5 games to go. Woof.
5 games to go. The past 3 games, he's played 201 out of a possible 211 snaps on defense. Like Vic Fangio is just saying, listen, this dude is not leaving the field. He played 100% of the snaps 3 weeks ago, 99% of the snaps this past week against Baltimore. So it's like you just don't want your key guys to wear down. So I guess that's a longer way of saying, like, if Detroit can give them some help and stumble a little bit, the Eagles can overtake the number 1 seed and have the benefit of rest.
No, you're right, pal. The number 1 seed is so vital. It's so vital, but at the same time, boy, you don't want to peak too soon. You are right. We still got 5 of these to go. You can't picture the Eagles playing much better, and you just wonder maybe if at some point, Tim, if it looks like Detroit's got it, he might step off the gas. It'll be a fascinating thing to watch heading into the last couple weeks of the season. And I certainly look forward to reading your stuff on ESPN and watching you on the network as you cover what is clearly right now. I'm telling you right now, they're America's team right now, I think. And so you'll be at the forefront of whatever's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. So enjoy this week, pal. I know you get half a week off because you don't have to travel. You get 2 weeks now. Look at you. You get all your shopping done. All right.
For the next 5 weeks, for the last 5 games are at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I want you to dial down the gift for me this year. No need to be as extravagant as you've been, Tim. So, just some minor trinket will be just fine. All right.
All right. We'll lower the cap to $2,000.
Lower the Christmas cap would be fine. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on tonight, Tim. Thanks for all the information. I wish you all the best. All right.
Of course. Yeah. It's always good to be with you. Let's do it again before the end of the year.
All right, Tim. Thanks very much, pal. Thank you very much. Tim McManus joining me there. Xander, if you would, can you bring up that the Week 14 schedule? We'll wrap up this week in pro football with a quick look at that. Tim was just talking about Thursday night football, Green Bay, Detroit. It's a shame. Good game like that, played on Thursday night, 3 days rest. This league, this league's vampire-like dependency on money. It's an amazing, amazing thing. So Green Bay, Detroit, Thursday night football. The other key games to me, I think that Atlanta-Minnesota game, those two teams I think are both pretenders. I think Atlanta's the bigger pretender. Minnesota probably wins that game. You never know which Kirk Cousins is going to show up. You just don't know. The Monday night game, Bengals and Cowboys, that'll be a high-scoring game because the Bengals defense might be the worst in NFL history. But Joe Burrow's he's a lock for 3 touchdowns. Buffalo and the Rams, you heard Sean Green. He thinks Buffalo is going to demolish Los Angeles, and that's very possible. And then that Sunday night game, I think, has some merit. Love to see the Chargers go in there and beat the Chiefs. One or two things is going to happen. Either the Chargers are going to do it, and the Chiefs are going to finally run out of the luck they've had the last few weeks, or the Chiefs are going to start to turn the corner around now and start to put the pedal to the metal. Be an interesting thing to watch Sunday night. All right, that'll do it for Week 14 edition of This Week in Pro Football. Thanks very much to Xander Kraus for producing, and thanks to all my guests for coming on. Thanks to you for watching me this week. And let's check it all out over the weekend, and we'll see how it shakes out. We'll be back at it next week for a Week 15 edition of This Week in Pro Football. Good night.